Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Chubby, and today's episode is a level 5 elephant. We're going to be talking about child marriage, in which there's a common misconception that it is a foreign problem, when in fact it actually is not. It's happening here in the United States. With that being said, if at any point listening or watching the episode, you need to take a break, we encourage you to do so. I know subjects like this can be disturbing to hear, but nonetheless, we do not discourage you from taking care of your mental health first. And as always, thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate you all. So, what is child marriage? Child marriage is a marriage in which at least one party is under 18 years of age. According to UNICEF, child marriage is often the result of entrenched gender inequality, making girls disproportionately affected by the practice. By gender inequality, they mean patriarchal systems, that is, the systems that are controlled by men, that value girls according to their virginity, lead to limits on female sexuality and reproductive choices. And to add to that, although the age of majority of legal adult and marriageable age are usually designated at 18, both vary across countries, and therefore the marriageable age may be older or younger in any given country. Even when the age is set at 18 years, cultural tradition may override legislation, and many jurisdictions permit earlier marriage with parental consent or in special circumstances such as teen pregnancy. And just to clarify, we're talking about illegal marriage, the ones where the child does not at all give consent. Meaning, if the child being 16 years or 17 wants to get married on their own accord with parental consent, or in some situations they still want to get married without it, without parental consent, they're still going to do it, but they're at least giving their consent. But yes, we are addressing the illegal child marriage of kids being married off to someone older than them without consent. Just to clarify, just to make sure everybody knows what this episode is really about. I've known about child marriage for several years now. That came about because I was learning about human trafficking in my mid-20s, and child marriage and human trafficking are actually linked, because one part of human trafficking is the export of children, resulting in marrying off a child to the highest bidder. I mean, and like a normal person, I found this to be disturbing, that is actually happening. And I learned that, in fact, that is not only happening foreign, but it's happening in our own backyard. I do believe that we have to be cynical in situations like this. We cannot think that it is a them problem. I believe that if it's happening anywhere else, it's happening here in the States. Usually, and it usually is. Name one thing that is happening anywhere else but not happening here in the States. Unfortunately, we're not the only ones. So why does child marriage happen? There are several reasons, like poverty, tradition, and survival. As I was doing more research on this topic, I found some statistics that are eye-opening. So according to the World Population Review, in the US, about 200,000 minors have married between 2000 and 2015. Of the 200,000 child marriages, 67% of the children were 17, 29 of the children were 16, 4% of the children were 15, less than 1% of the children were 14 or under. There were 51 cases of 13-year-olds getting married, and 6 cases were of 12-year-olds. I don't know about you, but this is disturbing. That an adult is sitting there thinking, sure, let me go and buy or do a trade of a child bride. I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand that. And please keep in mind that even though child marriages happen more in girls, that does not mean it's not happening to the boys as well. According to frontline.org, marriage in boys is a 13% and in girls is an 87%. Frontline.org also states that children as young as 12 were granted marriage licenses in Alaska, Louisiana, and South Carolina. 13-year-olds were given the green light to marry in Alabama, Florida, Idaho, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New Jersey, Tennessee, Texas, and Washington. We did state in one of our posts on our Instagram that child marriage is legal in 46 states, but as of July 23rd, 2021, New York became the sixth state to ban child marriage, after Delaware, who was the first state to do so. Minnesota, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island followed. That leaves 44 states that still allow child marriage. But as of January 2022, in the 41 states that have set a marriage age by statute, the lower minimum marriage age, when all exceptions are taken into account, are: one state has minimum age of 14, which is Alaska. 3 states have a minimum age of 15. 22 states have a minimum age of 16. 9 states have a minimum age of 17. 6 states have the minimum age of 18. In 2018, the number of women who marry as children is down to 1 in 5, as opposed to 1 in 3 in the 1980s. But what I found baffling is that these child marriages are approved by the Superior Court judge. I mean, can they do something about it if they find something wrong in a personal level? I mean, morally incorrect, or do they have to follow the rules and do their job? I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if that were me at all. I mean, as I mentioned before, as I was learning about this subject, I became an advocate for it. Finding organizations like Unchained at Last, who we have mentioned before in the human trafficking episode 34, season 3, who are advocates for child marriage. Unchained at Last was founded by
Freddie Reese
in 2011. She was 19 when her family arranged for her to marry a man who turned out to be violent. But with no education or job, she felt like she had no escape. And as I was reading her story, I became immersed in it. And I tried to watch every YouTube interview out there to learn more about how Unchained at Last became what it is today. I also learned that arranged forced marriage often means a lifetime of rape, abuse, and domestic servitude, and the loss of reproductive rights, financial rights, and essentially basic human rights. For women and girls, forced marriage often means forced motherhoods, as per unchainedlast.org. The more research I did, the more I learned that there is no other organization out there like Unchained at Last trying to end child marriage here in the United States. But yeah, organizations like Unchained at Last, they give me a hope that more people out there want to get together and end child marriage. I mean, yes, we're talking about child marriage, but we cannot talk about it and not bring arranged and forced marriages into this, because they go hand in hand. Child marriage is forced and it is arranged as well. Even though arranged and forced marriage deals with young adults and traditions or survival mode, that does not mean that it's not a problem. I mean, no one wants to get married to anyone they don't want to marry. I know that this is a lot of information to take in and process, but I hope you're still listening and hanging in there and or watching us. I am going to be sharing some of the consequences of child marriage, and the information is brought to you by Unchained at Last. The consequences are: women in the US who marry before 19 are 50% more likely to drop out of high school than their unmarried counterparts, and 4 times less likely to complete college. Young women in the US who married in their teens are often unable to access education and work opportunities in part because they tend to have more children earlier and more closely spaced. Women in the US who marry early are more likely to earn low wages and 31% more likely to live in poverty. Women in the US who marry as teenagers are 3 times more likely to have at least 5 children than women who marry as adults. Now, the consequences of early marriage on young girls are well known, but millions of underage boys are also married off each year. And honestly, I wasn't able to find much information about it. What I did find was an article by Daily Beast stating that young boys are often forced to drop out of school and take menial jobs to support their family, which then perpetuates the cycle of poverty, thus resulting in generation after generation who will struggle to lift themselves out of this situation. 156 million men alive today were married as children, according to the most recent UNICEF data. I did find a mutual frustration with the Daily Beast, as it is that I did find a mutual frustration with the Daily Beast, and it is that a variety of experts from the leading international organizations working to combat child marriage express a gap in knowledge about the issue of underage grooms. Neither UNICEF, Girls Not Brides, the Population Council, nor the International Center for Research on Women had experts who could speak about the impact of marriage on boys. I mean, we need to change this mentality that certain things only happen to one gender. I mean, I'm not dismissing the fact that there is a gender inequality between women and men, because we know there is, since we've been fighting for women's rights for a while now. But also, please take into consideration that these statistics are for women and men only. It does not include people that identify as non-binary, gender fluid, or any other term. Trust me, I'm pretty sure those numbers are also high. With the lack of data, we're just trying our best to share what we could find. So I compiled a list of ways that we could prevent child marriage. I mean, the goal is to end child marriage. And please know that we just have to try our best. So here is what I have. Educating girls. The longer they stay in school, the less likely they are to be married before age 18 and have children during their teenage years, and a chance at having a career and a better outlook in life. Rallying the wider community to stand up for girls' rights, and having organizations like Girls Not Brides, Unchained at Last, and Plan International doing their best to end child marriage. Petitioning government and encouraging supportive laws. As per Plan International, in countries where child marriage is prevalent, petitioning government to increase the minimum age for marriage 18 years is a critical first step for positive change. Once the minimum age is increased, it's imperative to continue raising awareness for the laws among government officials and community leaders to ensure the laws are being enforced. Right now, as we speak, 37,000 girls on the age of 18 are being married. Trust me, I know, I sound like a commercial of some sort, but this is the sad reality of our youth, of our young girls. They're being robbed from their childhood. Again, just a reminder that this information only deals with the United States, because the numbers worldwide are astronomical. Every year around the world, 15 million girls on the age of 18 are married off. That's 28 girls every minute, according to the American Jewish World Service. So let that sink in. 28 girls every minute. So this episode cannot continue without a 411 with Shubi. So with 411 with Shubi, I found organizations worldwide that are working towards ending child marriage. And in the list, Unchained at Last has to be one of them. Unchained at Last is the only nonprofit in the US dedicated to helping women leave arranged and forced marriages. It provides women with legal and social services and emotional support, while also raising awareness about arranged and forced marriages in the US, advocating for legislation to protect women. Girls Not Brides is a global network for more than 1,500 civil society organizations from over 100 countries committed to ending child marriage and ensuring girls can reach their full potential. Child Rights International Network is an international network that supports the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child and Child Rights. The network's goal is to advocate for children's rights and enforce them globally. The Egyptian Foundation for Advancement of the Childhood Condition works to improve legal conditions concerning children's rights and development in Egypt. Egyptian Foundation for Advancement of the Childhood Condition is a systematic review of a child marriage prevention program that have documented evaluations and offer analysis of broader implications for viable solutions. The Coexist Initiative was founded in 2002 and officially registered in 2005 as a nonprofit network for men and boys organizations that work in the areas of sexual and gender-based violence and HIV prevention in Kenya. The Coexist Initiative is unique insofar as it targets males in order to affect change. They advocate against child and forced marriages, female genital mutilation, and other rights and societal benefits. Trust me, I know this was a mouthful to take. I know it's a lot of information to retain, but again, we appreciate you all for staying and listening through. Again, if you need to take a break, it's okay. But so it's getting to that time in the episode. So we're going to share some quotes with you all. Okay. Parents can only give good advice or put them on the right paths, but the final forming of a person's character lies in their own hands. Anne Frank. Educating girls Educating girls is one of the most powerful tools to prevent child marriage. Girls not brides. By getting men to reject the practices that subordinate women and girls and subject them to violence, we can get to the root of child marriage. By the Coexist Initiative. And our last quote, we have a vision where women and girls live in dignity, are healthy, have choices, and equal opportunities. By Forward, Foundation for Women's Health Research and Development. And that was it for the quotes. If you guys have any questions, if you guys just let us know. But yes, I guess for our final thoughts now, honestly, it takes a moment like today, this episode, to bring awareness to a global problem. We need to want to get together and make a difference to actually see a brighter tomorrow. I hope that this information, besides opening your minds, is sparking something inside to want to participate by even sharing this episode with your followers or anyone anyone that can actually make a difference. To those that don't follow me on Instagram, I posted something on my stories that said, if you are more fortunate than others, build a longer table, not a taller fence. And I do hope that there are people out there that are willing to help because they know they can. But also, there are many ways of helping, from the smallest way, like sharing, learning about these topics and similar ones by following accounts. Simply speaking about it also helped. Speaking about it in rooms where there are people, again, that can possibly help in bigger ways. But remember, topics like these need all the help that they can get. I mean, we appreciate you all for always joining us on topics that are hard to hear. But like I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, more information, or even more links, contacts, please just send it our way. You can always email us. Remember that. You could DM us. Again, if there's any information out there, or if I got any of the facts wrong, or something does change over time, so if by the time this episode's out something just changed, well, let me know. But I hope that you guys are feeling some type of inspiration from this, and I thank you all. Thank you, fearless fam. And like we always say, stay fearless, everyone.